All right, let's shift tack this afternoon. Psychologist Dr Koketjo Tsebe is currently in Paris working closely with Team South Africa at the Olympics. Tsebe is known in the sporting world as one of the specialists working with athletes' mental health issues during various competitions. She joins us from Paris this afternoon. Dr. Tsebe, it's great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on to the program. And what an incredible thing, just from what I've read about your experience and the depth of knowledge you have guiding athletes to an event like the Olympics. They sound like they're incredibly lucky to have you there.
Thank you for the compliments, Michelle. Good afternoon to you, and bonjour to the viewers at home.
Bonjour indeed. So where do we begin when we talk about trying to help an athlete, an elite athlete, during what is probably one of the most stressful, yes, most joyful times of their lives it can be as well. But how do you begin with helping navigate them through a period like this? And I imagine it's different depending on the individual.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Our approach as a psychologist here at the Paris Olympics varies. You'd recall that before we qualify for the Olympics, there's actually competitions, lined-up competitions that were held, particularly in the African continent. So some of the athletes, we've already been seeing them, whereas others, it's our first-time contact. But our approach, like I said, that it varies. We work with individual sporting code and team sports. And each and every athlete will present with different difficulties, will have different needs. But overall, our approach is to make sure that we're present and we provide the necessary emotional support.
And I imagine that support differs from the start of a competition, and depending how that athlete performs and whether they achieve the goals they've set for themselves, that approach might change, right? It's either going to be one of joy and elation, and it might be one of grief towards the end.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because remember, emotions changes over time. One might have been feeling excited about being part of the Team SA and being in the village, which is very exciting, and meeting their counterparts. And now an actual competition starts, which means that we can be hypothetically speaking about a sense of emotional roller coaster based on the different experiences, based on the outcome of their competitions, as you've said it correctly. So it's also to help them navigate through different emotional roller coaster they might be experiencing at the elite competition.
And your intervention alongside your team there for Team South Africa, it doesn't only begin at the start of the Olympics, right? I imagine that the kind of mental strength and stamina that is required from an athlete during and in the build-up to an event like this, it has to start long before.
Absolutely, Michelle. It starts long before the competition. As I've said, that there's been qualifiers. And that's where I think SASCOC has been very clear to say that we prioritize mental health of our athletes. That's why it's important that there's always a psychologist on camp. If impossible, at least they must be on standby to be able to support them. So in having interventions or a psychologist earlier, it assists with building rapport. It assists also with athletes getting used to having a psychologist in camp, because also, as you'd recall, Michelle, this is a fairly new discipline in high performance in the country. So also our objective is to also normalize a sense of acceptance that psychologists do work with teams, to assist athletes to deal with mental health challenges, to also assist with performance enhancement. So the build-up leading to the main competition, which is the Paris Olympics, it's quite essential and has shown over time also to be really assist athletes to come and approach the competition quite at a very positive state, and most importantly, to enjoy competing at a competition of this magnitude.
Yeah. I imagine, Dr. Tsebe, that it's not just about having the support of a psychologist or a team of psychologists, right? But it's about sort of the holistic approach of an athlete. It's the support of perhaps a partner, of friends and family. It will probably also include something like taking time to yourself, having downtime, having a good diet. Do all of these figure into your mental state during a competition like the Olympics?
Absolutely, Michelle. We prioritize a biopsychosocial model approach, which actually prioritize and respect multidisciplinary interventions where we have physios, we've got physiotherapists, we've got sports physicians, and of course we always emphasize our athletes to also make use of sports dietitians that could be there so that we give them a whole entire approach that is aimed at assisting. Because remember also our role here is to assist the technical team to meet their needs, because as you know that sports performance is technical, physical, and mental. So it's four-legged. All of us work together in assisting the athletes to reach their optimal performance.
Yeah. Is this a new field for South Africa, Dr. Tsebe? This sort of renewed, is it correct to say that this is a renewed focus on mental health in elite sporting codes?
Michelle, I'd say to appreciate that is a gradual, it's new, but it's on a very gradual progress. Hence, I acknowledged how really serious SASCOC is at in terms of promoting this, because if I recall quite well, the Birmingham, there was a psychologist, Tokyo, there was a psychologist, and if we can see historically, this has been a field that is being included. There's inclusivity of a psychologist, and quite really appreciated from both the management level and also from the athletes themselves. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, certainly. And I understand that you're also involved in teaching sports psychology. You're also supervising master's and doctor's students in this field.
Absolutely, Michelle. I am a senior lecturer at UNISA, Department of Psychology, and I must also thank my colleague and the management for the support, because by giving me support to be involved with national teams, I'm better able also to assist also in the curriculum development and also supervising masters and PhD. And you know how important research is, and teaching also empirical evidence work. It's quite key. So my work here with Team South Africa is really quite related with my role at the University of South Africa.
And is this your first time as part of the psychologists team for an event of this nature?
No, Michelle, I've actually been quite privileged and honored, and I must thank everybody who has always brought me on board to work and assist athletes. Last year during this time, coincidentally, I was with Banyana during the FIFA Women's World Cup in New Zealand and Australia. And I've also covered different competitions in Africa, the African Games, and Region 5 in Malawi under the SASCOC Team SA.
And by all accounts, you did incredible work there, if I think about the performance of Banyana as well. So what's it like being at the Olympics? And, you know, what have been some of your highlights so far? Perhaps you'd like to tell us about some of your challenges so far.
Well, Michelle, the highlights for me has always been the athletes. You know, when you see athletes reaching the pinnacle of their career, because as I said, that we are here to support athletes. Of course, we have our own experience. I also have to mention that it was quite interesting and quite essential for me to be. I attended one of the seminars that were organized by the IOC that focused on mental health. Having to actually be in a room full of experts that are supporting Olympians, and also seeing how important sports diplomacy is, that it unites. We also exchange ideas and the challenges. It was quite a remarkable experience. And also just being part of the team, you know, it's a very good space to be in every day. It's a blessing to wake up in the Olympic Village. And for me personally, to wake up and do what I've always loved. This is a childhood dream, you know, living my dream. And most importantly, to contribute into the growth of sports psychology and essentially to support our athletes. And
I imagine you are already thinking about how this will influence the work you do with your students.
Absolutely. It's a holistic. It's not about Koketjo. It's also about how the students get to benefit from the work that I do and the experience, wisdom that I bring, and also the entire university into the growth of the UNISA. It's also aimed at reaching at, and also importantly, as I've indicated, the discipline of psychology growing and also getting its most status and recognition that it deserves.
Dr. Koketjo Tsebe joins us live from Paris, from the Olympics. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. And of course, all the very best to you.